Alright. Hello, internet world. Look at my fucking outfit. I look like a damn baby shower today, man. Got blue, pink, and pink. I have pants on this time, so I'm not flashing any bush to anybody. But anyways, so I just finally finished uploading all this stockpile that was on my fucking computer. So now I'm finally making another video, yeah, to spice up this fucking apocalypse we're living in. So where was I? This story is boring as hell. I wonder if it's gonna get any more interesting or if it's gonna be like Torture of Chitsney, where like literally fucking nothing happens. But there's definitely gonna be more characters besides Dan because, like, it's called 5 stories. I know each chapter has different people or something. Anyways, a minute and a half in. Let me pick up where I left off. Dan looked up from his doodles. Oh, the teacher was pissed now. He only ever interrupted his lectures to bark at someone. Who was it? In the time, it only took the teacher to grab a heavy textbook from his desk. Half the class already had their eyes on the culprit, the new kid no less, who had only been in the school about 2 weeks, transferred in after winter break. He was fast asleep on the desk again. It seemed like every day this week that boy nodded off. He's probably got some problems too that nobody is like sensitive to. The teacher raised the book and fast brought it down on the desk with an echoing clap. This is also ripped off from somebody. I don't remember if that's the story of my dad. I don't think my dad told me that story. I think I might have got that story from a teacher at high school. Somebody told me a story that in class, like if somebody was fucking sleeping or they were talking or something, and the teacher came over and like slammed a heavy book down like on their desk and like startled the shit out of them. I'm pretty sure it was my physiology teacher, senior year. But I don't, maybe it was my dad, I don't know. Whatever. Let me see. Also in high school, there was this one kid who had, what do you fucking call that shit where you fall asleep randomly? It's called like, I don't remember the name. It starts with an N, I think. But it's something where, like, yeah, your sleep is all fucked up and you just fall asleep randomly. One of the kids in, I think in my sister's grade, had that. So this kid might be based off that kid. I don't even know. A lot of, like, this has a lot of high school references in it. Where was I? Immediately, not hearing the stifled giggles of the others, the boy jolted upright, half awake, cross-eyed with sleepiness. He was a bony kid with, here we go again. Here, I'm gonna take a drink because a fucking, description is here. Alright. He was a bony kid with pale blue, ghostly eyes, sometimes what the other kids called Nazi eyes. Wow, I've never heard that in real life. That's fucking funny. Uneven, generally chin-length hair, which was the color of dirty khaki, and a faint mustache of peach fuzz. His skin was white, whiter than Dan, but like most of everyone else, he was taller than him. His fingernails were either worn or bitten away, leaving him with small outlines of crusted dry blood. Damn, that's some bad nail biting. He barely had started to wipe the spit away from his mouth before the teacher was ordering him. Alright, smarty, summarize the ancient Greek concept of perfection for the class, which is totally wrong, and I think this teacher is like on fucking Mr. Garrison level of like just making shit up, because I don't think that's how it was, but, you know, I'm not a historian. The boy tilted his head back slightly and gave him a bleary sort of look. I don't know, he slurred out in a way that seemed to mean, it's too early for games, not even bothering to fake an apologetic tone or a humiliated one. That's right, stand your ground, motherfucker. It was around that time that Dan found himself staring, though he would never remember the exact moment. There was something about that kid he couldn't put a finger on, but it drew him in. Oh man, high school romance. It was like the feeling of hearing an amazing song. when it was still fresh and full of promise. I love that feeling. You know, when you hear a song you like and the first couple times you hear it, it's like hella fucking good before you play it out, as you no doubt eventually will, you know? Or a person sitting with a page turner in hand, eyes strained, waiting for that climax which could never come soon enough, but which they also wish, in a split brain way, would stay distant so they could keep the feeling longer. That's for sure. Dan was never a big reader, but he got that itch now, dying to know things, barely able to keep from squirming in his seat. Attraction! The new kid, meanwhile, was being exiled from the room for the day. Man, that's fucking harsh. For sleeping? Maybe the kid has problems. Everybody's got problems in these stories, I know it for a fact. If fucking Kink Farm Tiki told you anything. Grudgingly, he dragged himself up from the desk, grabbed his backpack by one strap, practically dragging it along, and went out. The door clicked behind him. He's probably like, good, I don't want to fucking be in this class. Alright, cutscene. Not cutscene, but I mean, like, cut the scene. There's a little time lapse right there. Hey, Blanche. The new kid looked up at Dan, squinting against the sun. At least, Dan hoped that's what it was. He prayed the other boy wasn't irritated or something like that. His face was already getting reddish, and he had to concentrate to keep breathing normal, talking face to face, going up to other kids that he didn't know well. That was not a strength he had. Dan was clutching tight with one hand to one of his backpack straps, and with the other hand was picking at the side pocket of his jeans, near where his free hand happened to be hanging. Blanche was sitting in the dry gutter, with his lower back leaned against the curb. I guess their fucking neighborhood isn't as polluted and full of fucking trash and needles and shit in the gutter. In between two parked cars so that nothing could run him over. He hoped they were not teachers' cars. Hey, he answered, class? Dan nodded. Yeah, a couple. Blanche nodded and looked off, driftingly towards the street, now busy with students going home with their parents or friends. Oh yeah, he commented, and then absentmindedly raised one hand to his mouth, half closed his eyes, and started ripping away at the dried blood in little pulls. Ew, he started serene enough, like a deer grazing, but it was Dan who winced. So, where are you from? Up north, he answered, barely giving half a look. Like, where up north? Fucking North Pole. Blanche answered, why does it matter? Dan stepped back slightly. He should have known better. Sorry. Blanche shrugged. Don't be. He said, ain't no big thing. Dan looked up in surprise and hoped he was not transparent. So, where do you live now? Wherever I want, Blanche mumbled through the fingertip between his teeth. Huh? He's fucking homeless, then why does he even come to school? Maybe he's trying to, I don't know, maybe the truancy officer is like harsh or something in this area. I don't even know. Never mind, Blanche let his hand go momentarily back to his lap and looked back up at Dan. Just talking shit. He sighed lightly and glanced down the street before looking back at Dan. Hey, ain't your daddy or someone here to pick you up? I don't think so, he answered, but the words were barely out of his mouth before there was an unexpected and slightly rough call. Dan! His daddy was there. The boy looked up sharply, startled, but sure enough, paused there in the road was his father in the old olive Camry, with both front windows down, waving him over with a smile. The bitch smiles? Okay. Guess he's not an asshole all the time. Guess I, gotta go. See you tomorrow? Blanche shrugged. Figure. Ain't really got a choice, right? Well, actually, that's wrong. If you're fucking homeless and or fucking emancipated and don't have any fucking family, I don't think you really have to come to school. But maybe, like I said, you know, maybe in this world, the truancy comes down on kids or whatever. In my world, they wouldn't give a fuck. You do whatever the fuck you want. But, you know, they just, like, fucking, like, you know, what do you call it? Not evict you. You know, kick you out of school. Damn, I forgot the word for that for a second. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyways, it's time for chapter 3. Changelings. Oh man, some supernatural shit is about to go down, I think. In this apartment, there were a few people to know. There were 3 living there, each with a different color of blonde hair. Oh god. Descriptions. God save the fucking blondes. Alright. which is where their nicknames came from. Rusty was the oldest, 25 or 26. Oh, he's the oldest, 25 or 26. What a doll. These are all children's. If anyone knew for sure, with dark eyes and a greasy mop of maybe chin-length hair, cut a little at the sides to not bother his ears so much, but long and back. Business in the front, party in the back, basically, is what it's trying to say. He had a rough shadow of stubble on his face and a broad, wily grin. A slim body, but not skin and bone either, and just under 6 feet, putting him taller than the others by a few inches. Oh god, this is just like, have you ever read The Outsiders? You know how in The Outsiders they just kind of like, I know supposedly The Outsiders is written by like a 15 or 16-year-old or something, but like in the beginning when all the characters are described, it's just like, okay, you get a paragraph, you get a paragraph, you get a paragraph. It's just like bam, 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 like that. That's what the style I'm doing right here. But I know this is highly fucking not allowed in today's. Just give me 1,000 fucking points off my fucking bullshit. Just fucking send me to, like, politically incorrect jail. Okay. For having all these white, able-bodied males and shit like that. Well, I think one of them is trans, but that's not good enough. Just send me to fucking jail with all my characters, all my white, able-bodied... not straight all the time, not cis all the time, but whatever. It's fucking a sin and blah 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 blah. Anyways, moving on. Sunshine was in the middle, heart-shaped face, pink full lips, oh man, big blue eyes, feminine, the classic candidate for a feather boa and a pair of high heels, and something to show off the slender legs. His hair was about chest length, straight as pixie sticks. But he always had knots and things in it that needed to be cut out, or picked apart, or yanked out. Peanut Butter was the baby. 18, how old was Sunshine? I guess it didn't say. I guess Sunshine is like, must be younger than 25, but older than 18? 22 or something like that? Who knows? Peanut Butter was the baby. 18 years old, juvenile face, green eyes, sloppy bowl cut hair. He was a scrawny thing and a shy thing. No surprise that he took the corner of the living room to crouch in, listening to music on a CD player, while the rusty-headed one was flopped on the couch, looking bored and watching staticky news, wearing just boxers. Oh man, he's doing the Jack thing. Okay, so I'm assuming these 3 men are playing, like, house, basically. Rusty's the dad, Sunshine is the mom, and PB is the baby. They're doing, like, you know, 3 bears type of stuff, but ironically none of them is a bear. But they probably are all gay, all of them, knowing my style, but that might not be in this story. Where was I? The little one looked up suddenly when he saw movement, and the sunshiny one came in through the front door into the living room before shoving it shut behind him. Lord Clyde. Oh, and his name was Clyde, too. That's not fucking redneck stereotype at all. Ain't you never heard of clothing? Oh, this is 2008, because this is the story that my upstairs dorm mate was critiquing and making fun of because of the accents. So, yeah, I don't know. Lord Clyde, ain't you never heard of clothing? Nope, never did, he answered back with a playful laugh and turned his head to look at his roommate. For some reason, I'm, like, imagining this as, like, a, like, sitcom. Like, I'm imagining there to be, like, that fake laughter at that time, you know? The nerve of some, he commented out loud, wandering into their little pigsty of a kitchen with a plastic bag of canned food. I go off to work and shop for y'all so y'all can eat like normals, and this lazy motherfucker just be sitting here on his on his ass, going blah blah blah, insulting me. Shut your ass up, Petio. Petio is his name? Oh, Pato is his name. Sorry. I was like, had some dyslexia right there. Shut up, Pato. What is the name of... Oh, peyote is the name of that drug. Is that what he's named after? Christ, it's my day off. You ever do more than this on your day off? What reason I got to? Pato answered back, peeking his head out of the open kitchen doorway. I work all the rest of them days and ain't hardly get much sleep. Yeah, and does you forget so fast that you dunno I do the exact same? Fuck it, well, you don't gotta deal with them Chinese motherfuckers. Oh god. So they're all types of redneck, I guess. Oh my god, this is just insulting to everybody. Let's hear more. What the hell's the matter with Chinese motherfuckers? Yeah, right? What's the matter? Hell, I don't know, ain't nothing really wrong. You want a fucking beer or what? Yeah, of course. Well, get your ass over here, then. Shoot. Clyde lifted himself, ready to get up, and took one last glance at the news, sneering at it. Oh my god, and this is 2008? I can only, imagine what it would be like now. But I don't know. Are these people right-wingers or left-wingers? I mean, they seem like this cartoonishly over-the-top redneck stereotype, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily right-wingers. Knowing myself, they probably have no political affiliation, unlike now where everyone's fucking political. But anyways, where was I? Clyde lifted himself, ready to get up, and took one last glance at the news. Sneering at it. Stupid-ass motherfuckers, he muttered to no one in particular, always letting other people tell him what to do. He got up off the ratty couch and wandered over to the TV set, switching it off. It was only a few moments later that a crow scrambled to a landing on the edge of the counter. What the fuck? Near where Pato was leaning with one hand on the countertop, with his head tipped back, drinking from a beer can with closed eyes. Something is crossed out, holding the something in his other hand. The crow cranked its head sideways and then upright again and took flight, knocking the end of the can with a strike of its beak. Immediately, Pato was hacking and coughing for breath, with beer spilled all around his chin and chest, onto his t-shirt, and in the lower parts of his hair. Sort of blindly, he struck out with one hand and slapped Clyde hard across the mouth. That doesn't sound like it was an accident. It sounds like it was an excuse for that. He gave a small involuntary sound and turned his head back to look at Pato, who shoved the beer can against Clyde's chest. Well, don't just stand there, take it. So was the crow really there? Did they just leave the window open and a crow came in, or is it their friend or something? It sounds like it's it's like the Raven, but just the more, I don't know, the bootleg version. Turned his head to look at Pato, who shoved the beer can against Clyde's chest. Well, don't just stand there, take it. He took it, for a loss of anything better to do. Lord, what a fucking mess. Pato, I was trying to play with you. Well, you be playing too fucking much. I'm gonna get canceled for this shit. Sunshine, ain't no such thing, he answered with a grin, but his roommate just glared at him and walked off, pushing past him for the door. Hey, Sonny, how's about all three of us go out tonight, huh? Just for fun and all. No answer. Sonny, don't you hear me talking to you? Pato looked back at him fast, with the fox's muzzle over where his nose and mouth should be, and barked a savage, horrific sound at him. What the fuck is this shit? Oh, so they're changing into animals. So, I guess Clyde/Rusty was a crow? And now Pato's turning into a fox? This is just... I think they did some psychedelics before this. Barked a savage, horrific sound at him, bearing razor-sharp teeth, rows upon rows of them. But it was only for a moment that made the youngest boy jump even though he was on the other side of it. And then Pato continued on into the bathroom, a red-painted door which he locked himself behind. Okay, 20 minutes, so I'm gonna cut it off. That was fucking weird. It was very... It's gonna It would get me canceled if I had a bigger audience. Thank God I fucking don't. Okay, goodbye. Maybe we'll address some of these fucking things later, but I think I said everything in side comments that I wanted to say.